Let me crack open.
Ooh.
Oh no. Iris, why did you... Iris, why did you do that?
Emerging from the tomb.
How could you do this to me?
Well, it's been 3 days. It's tomb emergence day.
You know what? Happy Tomb Emergence Month, everybody.
Yeah. Everyone needs to pick and choose the right time to emerge from their tombs on this wonderful supportive month for our community.
Unrelated, you haven't posted the funny announcement.
Are you sure?
Oh, yes, you did.
Check it one more time. It too has emerged from its tomb.
I can't believe it. I can't believe it. Iris, I think killing myself is the only option. Coming back 3 days later, that'd be nice, but you know.
Well, as long as you make sure to do it now and not during, like, the last 3 days of the month, because then it doesn't carry over. You have to wait an entire other year until the next month.
Have to wait a whole other year? No.
It only counts, like, the days within Pride Month, not, like, the rest of time.
Well, I hope the warning is taken to heart, gentlemen. Gentlewomen. Gamers. Otherwise.
The 3 genders. Well, no, the 4, including otherwise.
Can't guarantee I stick around for long, but I'm curious as to what this is about. Don't worry, you'll find out.
I don't see how it could possibly be more clear.
Give it 3 days, and then, who knows?
and you guys just wait. In 3 days, this stream's gonna kick off.
We're just going to continue making 3 days jokes until 72 hours have passed.
At which point, after that, we'll need to come up with a new joke, like something about 4 days.
I was going to say.
Please introduce the stream.
Hello everybody, and welcome to DBA Downtimes, a side series compared to the usual Destruction Bench Agreement show that we do in a bi-weekly asterisk fashion. Each week there is a revolving door of players, player characters, co-GMs, and regular GMs, but that is not the case today because we're in the short story area. Dawn of the first day, 72 hours remain. That took me off guard. I need to lock in again. Ahem. A majority of the things seen on Destruction Bench Agreement are recorded, but sometimes, we do these in order to do fun little events that we believe should be, what's the term?
That should
engraved into the annals of history.
Yeah. That should never be perceived except in intention.
And we are perceiving something in tangent today. Ignore that funny little, map name in the corner. Don't worry about it. I am the...
Where could this be?
I am the quote-unquote primary runner, but I could not be doing this without the, primary, air quotes, player, Iris.
I'm the primary air quotes player. Iris, hello.
For me, it's Scarlet or Mars, depending on the day, and, well, you just need to guess. It's Mars. And if it's too complicated to keep track of, then just call me Scarlet and we'll be fine. I genuinely think that that's all that we need to do. Surely we're not forgetting, something along the lines of if you want to see more of the things that we do, understand the scheduling, and other things, you should maybe, if those hypotheticals intrigue you, you should maybe join Fine Dining or Discord server.
If you want to perceive the things we do so that they kind of become real within your sphere of reality, then you can join there to see more of them, yeah.
Anyway, shall we begin?
Yeah.
Uh, in order to explain the full breadth of this place, we first need to talk about Diera. I do not know where the, shall we say, protagonist of this short story does their work, but chances are it is not in Diera. A fair distance away from Daybreak Bay, it is in the Washington area of, in real life, America. It is a sort of reservation for locals. It is very gray due to, as legends have said, a great dragon's death that gave the world epithets, but whether you believe it or not is ultimately irrelevant. It is a dark, dreary place. It doesn't see much sunlight, and even when it is bright, it's still dark in its own way. Gothic, one could say. Zina Vanderbilt's entourage of sorts lies within a small town, somewhere within Diera. It is unclear as to why she chose this place in particular. It's a stone's throw away from a large drop into the local ocean, and seemingly she gets along very well with the local tribes and the like. This is the state of her house. If anything, this is a better day than usual. But for the time being, we focus on someone who's coming in a little bit late for standard issue. Oh, what's a good term for it? Life-saving procedures?
She thinks that specific way to phrase it is perhaps a little exaggerated, but she, as usual, politely knocks a few times on the door before entering, scooching the door probably bangs a bit against the piano as she enters.
Assuredly. You do not know why she keeps it here.
Full of character as always. She slowly and somewhat shakily, listing back and forth, makes her way inside.
As is usual with the caretaker of this home, she is not in the upper floor. Ground floor?
As she walks, she spares passing glances for some of the newspapers or other scattered things on the floor with some interest, but of course she doesn't have time to ever peruse all of them.
You're not sure if Zina does. They are more than anything, first off, you're not sure if these were here the last time that you came around or what have you, but one thing is for certain, they are all scientific in some way. Science journals and comments on recent happenings with hadron colliders and such. It is standard issue interest for her.
Boring, as she kicks a few of them aside, coming towards the basement hatch. She gives a similarly polite knock to it as well, leaning over.
There is no response, but that also means that there's a coin flip as to it being occupied or not.
Miss Zina, hello! She creaks open the hatch and peers inside.
You can see the scene. If anything, it is a lot cleaner than usual. Would you, like, enter properly, or are you just peeking in for the time being?
She, after peeking, she still doesn't see any sign of her, she'd properly open it and enter.
Yeah, she is down there, in fairness.
Okay, then, yeah, she'd start climbing down.
The scene, for the most part, explains itself. You haven't actually seen Xina without her mask, and the pile adjacent to her and 1,000-yard stare at the one she has in her hands is not instilling you with confidence necessarily. As she is one for a fashion sense, she is wearing a long skirt and one of the long sleeve shirts that reveals the shoulders slightly. The wings are new.
Miss Xina?
She blinks, looks over to you, looks back to the mask, and looks over to you a second time as she, like, notices that, oh, person. Hi. She sits up a little, stands up.
You appear to be thinking rather deep thoughts today.
Sure, that's a term for it. You're late. Again.
Oh, am I? I'm not that late.
She scans Sicily's body.
Seems normal enough.
Well, I guess we get to work then.
Oh, sure, but there's no particular urgency to rush into anything. I'm perfectly fine as usual. These appointments, much that I enjoy them, are not usually wholly necessary.
Well, that depends on who you ask. I think that for the sake of, other people who may hypothetically be going through what you're going through in the future or otherwise, I think it's very important. And also, I don't like people living in misery due to, circumstances of birth, personally. Granted, if you do want me to, take my prisms and find some other, test subject, then I suppose I won't argue with you.
No, nothing. It's not what I'm saying at all. And rather than talking about that, I'd love to inquire about your lovely new, additions. I must say, I very much admire them.
I've spoken to you offhandedly about a lot of things, but currently the one that stands is Ambrosia. During the plentiful short conversations they have, when she's feeling especially sappy or otherwise, she speaks on the handful of worst days of her life, all perpetrated by her. She recently came into contact with one Melody Mechansphere and has since been using that epithet with impunity. Well, turns out I was one of the first subjects. The wings are just kinda here. I can't get rid of them. Honestly, I kinda don't want to, even if they do make putting on a lot of things a pain in the ass. The real issue is that I can't find a replacement, can't make a replacement for the mask, which I feel like is intentional on that bastard's part. Give me some variety of hole in my soul that I can't quite put back together in the form of that godforsaken mask. She gestures to the pile that you could scatter around with a rough kick.
She takes in the scene for a few moments, still with a small, somewhat faded smile. I see some hard times are being dredged up from the past and served you on a silver platter then. Is there anything
English
I can
words. There's a lot you can do, in all honesty.
Well, your wish is my command as usual, Miss Sina.
Alright, my wish is that we get through the standard issue appointment to start. Further wishes can be conversed upon, and we'll see how genie-like you eventually become, / how many mistakes I make when it comes to making wishes with you. No offense. I wouldn't make wishes with me. Probably. No, that's a lie. I probably would.
I like to think
She goes into... Sorry.
I like to think my interpretations are flavorful yet accurate. But yes, it probably is a good idea to get to it. She's...
Yep.
From doing a lot of these appointments, Sina would probably be able to tell she's breathing a little bit heavier than usual. Sicily is the type of person to, like, while in some ways she's poetic and kind of like flashy, she's trained herself to like walk and breathe and generally move very silently, just out of habit, and she's breathing fairly shallowly as compared to normal.
Are you injured again?
What makes you say that?
A hunch. One that, judging by that answer, is correct, may I add.
You and your hunches, she says with a kind of look of pain creeping into her, like, and tension creeping into her face a bit. Ah yes, my favorite place to while the hours away. She carefully sits on the bed.
Sina kicks over her chair roughly. God damn it. And then needs to walk over and correct it.
I enjoy the little games you make out of routine.
Well, I suppose that's nice to hear. She idly starts picking through the surgical materials, all squeaky clean. Should we go through the standard issue, shall we say?
Yes, please,
Questions?
take your time. All the time you need.
Well, I mean, you've implied yourself to not be injured, so I think we can indeed take all the time that we need.
Of course, that's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying.
Well,
Sina at this point would be able to see that, like, Sicily is clutching her, like, right side, like, you know, just above the waist, fairly close.
alrighty then. She seems to instinctively go for the various prisms stuck in Sicily, but quickly decides that that's probably not a great plan. She would reveal the wound, and not wearing gloves, but with a practiced expertise nonetheless, start to stitch any wound closed to the best of her notable ability. You know very well that she has not been, she's not been put through proper training or medical school. She has explained it as second wind fueled Wikipedia scrawling, and frankly, it's worked good for you so far.
When Zyno goes to reveal the wound, as she sometimes has in the past, she kind of like, not like hard, but like, you know, would half playfully, half earnestly, like, fight her a little bit of not wanting to separate her robe from the wound, because doing so makes it stick to the, very heavily clotted, likely infected, stab wound that she has there. And, when Zyna, you know, forcefully separates it anyway, she, even more so than you might expect, hisses in pain through gritted teeth and just doubles over slightly. And Zyna, with her strength, it's not such a big deal, but she never makes it a smooth process.
Frankly, it's a hell of a lot smoother than it is for some of the other folks. I should have mentioned that if medical things like this are not your style, then at least look away, listen away for a little bit. She does what needs to be done with a mostly unchanging expression, and after a good 5 minutes, she calls it as done as it can be. And then she goes to the various prisms. She takes out a cloth, rubs around each one, and then, after thoroughly soaking a painkiller fluid into the surrounding skin, she goes for the one on the neck first, as usual, and takes the gem of it in a particular grip. She's able to control her own resources and unbuckles it in a way that only she can do, revealing bloodied internals, to which she starts to clean them. Orange-tinted blood is neatly pooled into side channels. And she starts to remove that.
Can you at least pretend like you give a shit about the comfort of your patients?
Well, if you don't want me to use the painkiller stuff next time, you can feel free to comment as such.
No, I'm good. I'd like those, actually. More, please.
Alright. Sicily sometimes requests doubled doses, and so Zyna, as she cleans with one hand, applies more with the cloth to the rest of the prisms. Any pain and extremities beyond what is expected?
With me, what's expected is always a colorful question.
Well,
other than my gaping stab wound, no, I'm just fine, thank you. Everything is just perfectly fine and normal, and I'm completely okay with all of it. Utterly content as always.
Happy to hear. Any shunned health routines like not taking medication or what have you?
Oh, me never.
Wonderful. After cleaning out that prism, notably, she remanifests a identically shaped one and locks it back in, taking the blood-covered one on the underside and placing it on the table.
A look of notable relief washes over her as the prism snaps back in, her breathing calming somewhat, but of course there are more to go.
She starts on the second. It's at least less painful. Picked up smoking or alcohol in the time you've been away?
Ew, no.
Any relevant battle damage to prisms? She usually says the body, but decides to refrain from that for this session. Or the epithet / soul, as far as you can tell.
No, not as current, I don't think.
She ruthlessly cleans out this one, replaces the prism. Actually, here, I'll let the stuff soak in a little more.
Thank you. You know I never like ripping off band-aids.
Well, I don't think that we have many other options. It's either this or let it pool up to a point where your epithet may not function as you are used to it, or otherwise. The blood that covers the gemstones and such is orange tinted, if I've not explicitly commented as such.
You did, yeah.
Oh, well, smart me, huh? I know that I tend not to ask for payment on these things, but I believe that on Ambrosia, I want to request something of you.
I figured something like this would come along eventually. She and that whole little cadre have been making themselves known in several channels lately.
Oh. Well.
Just ripples for now, but...
Well, it can grow to splashes before you know it. At least in
certainly.
still circles and such. Well, my mother didn't want me doing anything hasty, and me being hasty is ultimately what resulted in the wings. Ultimately, I think that I should be hasty more often, joke aside. She has been very explicit with commenting that I am not allowed to do any research into making sure that the death of my tormentor is assured. Because my mother is smart and intelligent in all things. So I was going to request, since I'm conscripted through Destruction Bench Agreement, to assist as much as I can, if you could do me a favor and go through your channels. Because, yeah, the ripples are starting to get really obnoxious for my mother and otherwise.
I apologize, Dream. Hold on. It's literally it's like clockwork. When we're streaming, there a million motorcycles go by. All right, continue. Sorry.
It's very funny. That was more or less where my comment ended.
I assume just preliminary investigations for the moment.
She's been difficult to find, to put it lightly, for multiple years going on at this point. So, a ballpark estimation and or how she moves around so efficiently would be wonderful. After that, we can sick the dogs on them.
Of course, dear, I'll find out everything I can. Though you mentioned DBA, our mutual favorite program, of course. They want you to help them against this individual?
I said that I'd help, and I'm a woman of my word.
Mm-hmm.
I hate Ambrosia as much as the next exact copy of me.
Makes sense.
And also, they screwed around with one of their members, and as it continues, the Masterwork sigil is on a couple of Destruction Bench Agreement folks, and they, seeing how, shall we say, ruthlessly effective it is, are all of a sudden not interested in taking that little devil deal. So, it is for the betterment of my mother and several DBA folk. Basically, killing Ambrosia would be neat. Getting masterwork getting Daedalus would be more neat. Hell, actually, if you end up in a position where you can easily kill either Rev, her kid, or Melody, that would probably be pretty good. But I get the sensation you won't be able to, because Melody is criminally, what's the term? No, terminally anxious about everyone and everything that she does. You know.
I have more than enough experience dealing with
Rats.
squirrely little rats, yes. Don't worry yourself, I'll be able to find them, no problem. What I'm more concerned about is you and your involvement with this whole process.
Well, frankly, because of the way Daedalus works, it can't control me anymore because it already did it once. And, you can look at the...
Do you really know that for certain?
I had a small conversation with Daedalus when I got the sigil. And the long story short of it is, he commented, don't go breaking yourself. And I requested extrapolation, to which he begrudgingly gave in his own Daedalus kind of way.
Sorry.
It's the small things, isn't it?
It's dead silent till we start streaming again, of course. No, continue, sorry.
He's enigmatic, but, not a liar as far as I can tell. Furthermore, frankly, if they could just activate Masterwork sigils and then instantly activate it again even after control was wrestled from it, I feel like that would be a cosmically unfair situation, all due respect.
I see what you mean.
You're worried about me? How kind.
Well, without you, who would inflict me with unimaginable pain and tortures on this bed of ours?
Well, my mom, probably. If she could seem to see you.
She looks towards the ceiling of the room, like, as though daydreaming about that for a second.
Whatever. If I die, then, those crystals are going to be, well, any number of...
Irreplaceable.
I imagine that if... Quite literally. But I'm not sure if they, get worse with contact with blood or what have you. So,
The point is...
basically...
The point is, I want you to be careful in how you approach this, because not only am I grotesquely familiar in my line of work with the dangers of having a personal stake and emotional baggage involved with what you're doing, but also, which no offense, but you do have a history with these people, and I know you're a rational woman, but still. But not only that,
Yep.
as one artistically minded individual to another in the form of Daedalus, I find the way he thinks of his work and his pursuits to be rather stomach-churning. I hate the idea of taking someone, especially someone like you, and quote-unquote perfecting them, but under their own vision, their own power and limitations and level of strength, such that it makes this brightly colored mockery. I don't want to see that happen to you again, or to anyone else I care about.
commented that his view of perfection is basically leaving someone with a fundamental flaw. I don't know if you're caught up or what have you, but
I got them.
long story short,
I watched it on double speed. I'm mostly up to date.
Yeah, you may as well have watched the full thing on not that. She says with a clear like, okay, motherfucker, that's not how that works.
Listen, I love DBA, but let's face it can get a little long sometimes.
Busy woman, I get it. My mom has started watching it on her own when usually it was a group. Like we all pitch in a little bit because it's just becoming that much of an issue for her. Neither here nor there. Point is, fair enough. And frankly, me talking to you is half of the reason, well, me getting you to do this in my stead is a good step in the right direction.
Precisely. As I said, you're a rational woman.
And again, if you have the opportunity to kill them, then I will pay top dollar for their heads on silver platters. Shall we go back to work?
As usual, I don't expect any payment from you besides what you already do for me.
Well, noted.
I will at least set out some preliminary feelers. Hold on.
Everyone's favorite.
It's fucking maddening how constant it is. Alright. Anyway. Yeah, so at this point, yeah, Zyna continues her treatment, yeah.
She takes out another crystal, the third now. Have you, for the sake of me functionally being your primary physician, looked into alternative methods of dealing with these drawbacks?
Other than copious amounts of various traditional medications, and extensive, meditation, yoga, I suppose I could try that. I work hard to control my powers to the extent that I do to make sure it isn't truly unbearable, but other than those solutions and yours, I'd still be bedridden for the most part.
Right.
I haven't found anything else.
This ties into the next question of have you started to consistently take other medication for any reason? She moves on to the fifth.
Oh, I wouldn't call it extensively. I just sort of grab what I can get, like most people.
Do you want or need an 8th prism?
I should be fine.
A new one. Do you want to try an experimental treatment?
She raises an eyebrow slightly.
I guess I should explain the full breadth of nuance. I didn't wear the mask because it looked cool. That was only 50% of the reason. Maybe 60. Trauma's the other 50 to 40%. It is made of a material that functionally tricks your body into being at peak effectiveness for as long as it can. It is heavily addictive, so I don't go passing it around so that we don't end up with any superpowered freaks who want epithet drugs. But it functionally does its best with regeneration of tissue, strengthening of tissue. I imagine that with you, it is a complete coin flip as to if it is excruciatingly painful or works in some way.
My issue has never really been with muscle tissue exactly, but I'm good to try anything.
That's as far as I can tell the layman's terms. It's a bit more all-reaching. It's also a bloodstream thing, but understood. She takes out an identically shaped prism, but it is gray instead of the usual orange. She takes out, cleans another jewel. If you want me to pull it out, let me know, but she readjusts it slightly, jams it in, and then, Sicily, you feel what I can best describe as every vein in your body attempting to straighten out around where the prism is. It is exceedingly painful. It is, as it progresses, as it goes through your body, excruciating.
There's a sort of dark flash across her expression as her entire body almost curls like a ball, like as it's being electrically shocked. And Sicily normally, even when fighting, even when moving quickly, she's never really like it never seems like she's like, if she's sprinting, she's like not at a dead sprint. She's more like gliding along. But here, she is very much purely reflexively, no matter how much it hurts, she needs to make this stop. And she like is almost hissing and growling, trying to get the thing out of her, hitting Zyna's arms away if necessary.
She needs to reach over and yank it out, which at least makes it not excruciating, as she pulls it away with a significantly bloodied and scratched up hand.
Sicily, she's almost grabbing fistfuls of air around herself, and as she moves her fingers, these silvery white cracks form around her as she is just swiping and grasping at nothing, holding the sides of her head. And then, after it's pulled away, and she takes a few deep breaths. No, not that one, thank you.
Duly noted. We can give that a try later when I have situated how bad that was, or never, as you deem a necessity.
Like I said, I'm good to try anything, and sometimes persistence is necessary.
Duly noted. Zyna starts rubbing her hand absent-mindedly with the numbing, like, cloth. I should actually mention, one of your co-workers dropped by. She moves on to, I think, the 6th at this point, having replaced the most recent prism with a purple orange one.
When she mentions that, like, flicking a light switch, her smile just turns into a like kind of downward frown.
They asked for your room key, but I'm not that stupid, so I didn't hand it over. They are currently in the confines of the temporary housing unit. The one that looks
How long
like
have they been waiting?
Around 4-ish days or so.
Gosh, okay. She put the finger up to her chin, thinking about something. I see. Alright. And they haven't said or done anything in the meantime?
If they have said or done anything, that's while I wasn't looking. If I didn't catch them, then I'm upsetting myself. Neither here nor there, I guess.
As she thinks to herself, Zyna sees Sicily's frown. Her bored frown like, transmogrify slowly back into a almost, like, weirdly excited smirk. Alright, then. Well, I'll be interested to see just which individual this might be.
Really noted. In that case... Do you want me to, stick around as reinforcement, just in case?
I don't think that will be necessary.
Understood. Zaina goes through the process for the, current final prism on Sicily. And then, after that, stands up, places the, surgical instruments she used into a chamber on the wall, which you think is for disinfecting them. Well, that's that. I'm, no explicit medical professional, so, unless you want me to use one of those cute little mallets to knock on your knee, I think that that's about all I can manage for the time being.
I think I've had quite enough for the day. No offense.
No, frankly, all due respect, I think I have too. As usual, let me know if you need anything. This little nameless organization of mine is fully at your disposal. Also me, if you give a shit. I don't think you've actually met Kumiko yet. She's been a doll. If you want to do that before leaving, you can feel free. But otherwise, I'm sure that you have work to go off and situate.
Well, as you said yourself, I wouldn't want to keep this co-worker waiting for too long. But you let me know if you need any help with, well, with anything, but the mask situation as well. I can see what I can do to help.
I would, appreciate it, frankly, but I'm not sure what kinds of, I'm not sure what I can do, I guess, you know?
There are as many masks as there are people, darling. I'm sure we can find you something that works.
But it isn't the same one. That's the issue. Then I'll need to remake it from my usual material, and then it's just gonna be a whole thing. It's just gonna be a whole thing. She puts a hand to her hair-covered half of her face as though she is wearing a mask, and she looks uncharacteristically, like, dour.
She stands up and just, not quite touching her arm, but puts in a hand near it and like just a comforting gesture. Nothing stays the same forever, dear. Time marches on and drags us with it.
Yeah, fair enough. Go have a good time speaking with your, what the hell ever.
I will most certainly try. You try to enjoy yourself too, hon. Take more time for yourself.
This is time for myself. Though actually, the less time that I need to deal with the perfect formula, the better. She, looks at the pile of masks and starts, like, reabsorbing them, into her epithet. Throwing shit at the wall and nothing stuck.
Well, good luck.
Feel free to take any snacks or one of my participation trophies upstairs.
Will do, dear. She heads back upstairs.
Mm-hmm. Would you go straight to the, guest housing?
No, not directly there. If there was someone else she mentioned she should meet.
It was an offhanded sort of, conversational, for clarity, I do not have a map prepared or anything, but, you can optionally talk with Kumiko. She's a sweetheart. She's, perpetually locked in lexical chains, and needs to use them to move around and interact with various objects. Apparently, Zyna's been trying to come up with some variety of master key for the prevalent lock near her chest and attempt to see if it can be unlocked in that way. She enjoys tea. Otherwise, though, when it comes to the downtime, there is one other large conversation to deal with.
For Sicily, a brief conversation is likely still 10 or 15 minutes, but she would meet and greet this individual before heading over.
Fair enough. Still working, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Things are holding up this time for now.
Peachy. I should have preloaded this. That's my bad. But it does not matter one way or the other, because you've been to the temporary housing a handful of times, primarily to introduce yourself to someone new, like Kumiko, but well, she's moved in, new house has been made for her and everything. Or you spent a small duration in here as well. However, entering, you see someone who is... Oh, Jesus Christ!
Oh, God. You see
Sorry.
the fucking getter! Roll initiative.
That one's the wrong one.
Okay, that's good to know.
that was
Especially
terrifying.
since I know who this is, I'm like, Jesus Christ. Imagine if that was their name. Oh, God. Really fucking funny.
Jesus, I'm off kilter now. I gotta lock in.
No, yeah, lock in. It's all good.
Frankly, I think that in that case, continuing, that was not meant to be that theme, and I don't want to try the other one just in case it's this theme again. In that case, I think that for the time being, I will use this, if you don't mind.
Yep.
You see someone who is most definitely not your coworker. Their eyes perk up noticeably, hearing you enter, I presume.
Yep.
Hello.
Greetings.
Pardon me and such. Do you want coffee or tea or what have you?
Oh, tea would be lovely, thank you.
Okay.
Rajavia knows very well that coffee is on instead, so she needs to go. This woman, I will note, for the sake of chat, 2 prosthetic limbs, 2 spidery appendages, wearing like armor, sort of, large gloved hands, baggy pants. Again, certainly not anyone who you work with. There are a couple of expenses spared with this, so she needs to literally throw the coffee out, pour it on the front, and then start a tea for Sicily. But nonetheless.
So, hello. I do not know exactly what you know of me, and that is a more than fair assessment, considering that I do not know the most about you. You've perhaps come here under misunderstood or directly lied to, perhaps.
She does a little wink with one of her smaller eyes.
Circumstances. But
You could say that.
I wanted to speak with you about something.
Well, by all means, take your time. Ease into it as much as you'd like. I'm sure the reason for your coming will present itself one way or another.
Indeed, Miss Glassrose. My name is Rajavia. I've survived multiple years in the scrap wastes and am far from a hardened killer like you. Like you, are, as far as I understand it. Though I suppose I will do it if the need arises. I'm under no delusion that I can kill you, but I would personally hope that you won't anyway, for a few reasons. I could explain in detail how I found out about you and played a long association game, but I believe that I can show you something to get the point across.
She, from her pocket, takes out a ring that she obtained in the most recent Destruction Bench Agreement episode and tosses it onto the table for Sicily's scanning.
A long red root extending from one of Sicily's fingertips has the ring slide onto its tip and down towards her hand, where she examines it. Interesting. Not as such. It is a rather unique looking material.
Are you sure you've not given out something akin to this before?
She thinks for a few moments. Oh. She narrows her eyes a bit more. I confess, I didn't know they could actually get this small. That's interesting. It's a neat little feature.
Indeed it is.
Not that I've ever seen any gadget or artifact or otherwise quite like this before.
And yet you've handed them out? Or something similar?
Perhaps so.
In fairness, this isn't the real one for a lot of reasons. One, I presume that you would steal it, but clearly you haven't. Thank you, I suppose. I apologize for the mistrustfulness. Two, I wanted to see if you would notice instantly that it was a fake. And three, a safety net. I've set something akin to a dead man's switch, so the one that I did actually properly take from the one who had it is, done away with, as it were.
Oh goodness, you've done your homework.
I am nothing if not a homework doer, I suppose. Though, I thought that I could potentially have a conversation with you and get answers about it if you do not mind the time spent,
I see. So that's what we're doing. Well, these objects I may or may not have interacted with in the past. What exactly are you looking for? What are you looking to know?
In my plentiful years, I believe that I have come to an understanding. There are people who seize opportunities and people who let them pass by. I believe this to be an opportunity for myself, and potentially for the betterment of the people who I know. Because I see this as a potential way to get ahead one way or another. I took it from someone who is not of this plane of existence or this dimension or whatever word you want to use. But I took it from someone who is... Well, one thing was for sure. They were powerful to a borderline inane degree. A degree that I have worked for, but been unable to reach as of current. Despite my best efforts. I wanted to see what it would take to activate it, I suppose. Or something similar. Something equivalent.
She examines the ring for a few more minutes, mulling things over to herself before a red root once again grabs it and hands it back to Rosavia. I'm afraid that I'm not going to be able to help you there, sweetheart. Either with increasing your level of strength overall, or with activating this device. Even if I were a member of... Even if I were involved with this kind of thing, as you seem to have assumed and ascertained, that's not something I'm able to do. I do not have direct control of them in the way you might be assuming.
Well, that is interesting information to start. In that case, perhaps we can shift conversations a little.
She takes out a folded up letter.
Can you tell me anything about Gato and why someone would apologize to them?
She tosses over the folded piece of paper, also for scanning if desired.
She reads it over, both sides, looking at it very carefully. It's certainly not a name I recognize. You said that this was from some otherworldly sort of extra-dimensional affair?
Yes, but I presumed it was a matter of, after a while, you can get to a different position on a chessboard. But all of the pieces are still the same, If you know what I mean.
That's a good way to put it, yes. Well, I can only assume, given that I believe I've seen your face once or twice. It's ringing a bell, at least, and that you're dealing with something of this nature. You could only be affiliated with Destruction Bench Agreement, am I right?
I don't know what you could be talking about.
Oh, of course not.
I perhaps understand the name, but I am coming to you as a, compatriot cross, someone who desires to be a compatriot.
I see. Well, she tosses the note back. I'm afraid that as much as I am a fan of your work and the sort of energy your program brings to things, I'm afraid that once again I cannot help you.
Interesting. Unlike you, I have no particular reason to lie. But if you
Oh, are you
insist
accusing
on
me?
keeping those answers, I have my own assumptions and belief, but well,
She makes a cute little shrug.
I believe that extrapolating for my sake would be wise, because if you do not desire to speak in regards to exactly what this is, what it does, how one can activate it, or etc., then I suppose that I may need to toss it to someone who is, frankly, much smarter than me. Really take this thing apart and see how it ticks. I would love to be that person if the moment is required, but...
Be my guest. I'd love to see. I'd be curious myself to see more of these things' inner workings.
Rajavia's eyes widen in a quite clear thing of... That wasn't what she expected as an answer, but very well.
Listen, sweetheart. If I were a bit more cruel, or perhaps just in a bit more of a playful mood on this particular day, I might try to string you along a bit more, but frankly, sweet young thing like you, I wouldn't want to waste your time or see you waste your time. Dealing with where these things come from and the entire scenario surrounding it is extremely complicated and nuanced, as you may expect, and I'm afraid that what answers I could potentially give you are not going to be the kind of thing you're really looking to get out of this, from what I can tell, based on what you have said and your general demeanor. I don't want to lie to you and say that I'm not a little bit involved, or maybe a little bit curious myself to see what an investigation of this sort would dredge up, but I don't think I'm quite the person you think I am when it comes to my involvement.
Rajavia, who's been sitting on a table with like one of her knees tucked into herself, you know the kind of seating arrangement, the kind of pose.
Okay, I see.
She seems to think for a second. The two scrap metal appendages, one grabs the repurposed coffee pot and another grabs a small glass cup. She wanders back over and pours some tea for Sicily.
I do not actually know what kind it is. There's only one box here, and it's also blank, so.
She shrugs.
She sniffs it a few times, swirling it with a spoon. I'm aware of this particular blend. It's suitable.
Duly noted.
Thank you very much, dear.
How about we follow up a little bit, If this offer does not intrigue you, then maybe I can do something else.
You want to make an offer?
Something like that, sure. A tutelage, something along those lines. I learn how to kill people according to your style, shall we say.
She takes a sip of the tea before setting it back down, not quite looking towards her. You want to learn my trade,
I believe that would be what would be most effective for our compromise.
Well, you've already done your research, clearly. So you know what kinds of things I do and the methods associated with such. In your pursuit of strength, are you sure those are the kind of methods that you're looking to partake in? Is that really going to help you with whatever your ultimate goal is, or are you just looking to get a bit closer to me?
I believe that it is, it can be seen as both. I will readily admit that getting closer and learning the way that, the folks behind this puppet, their little sock, would be interesting. But make no mistake, I believe that, learning various skills from someone like you would be an effective use of time.
She gives a wistful sigh as she stares down at her tea before slowly turning her chair to look more pointedly towards her, one leg crossed over the other. What I do isn't something I do to pay my bills or to do in some pursuit of a higher goal beyond it. For me, you said yourself when you came in that you were willing to kill, certainly. if it came to it, which to me indicates that if your own life was threatened, or perhaps the lives of those you care about, you would defend yourself as anyone would. Or maybe if you just thought it was a trolley problem type situation and it was simply the right thing to do overwhelmingly, you'd be willing to do so if you were absolutely certain that the outcome would be positive. But when I do what I do, I'm not worried about whatever consequences or moral philosophizing or principles or postulations the individuals I deal with make. For me, what I do is what I do, and it is why. It is everything to me. It is my life, and I play the strings of life and death. I conduct them according to my own whims, my own desires, whatever the situation might call for, whatever a specific job, a specific client might require. And most importantly of all, she holds up a finger, the kind of life and death a specific victim pertains to. Nothing I do would mean anything if I was just killing people. Sure, if I took you under my wing, I could teach you a few things, certainly, but I don't really think that... I don't really see why I would, or what kind of investment personally I would have in something like that. If learning from me is something you want to do, then I'm not just going to take half measures. Does that make sense? If this is something you want to do, I would want you to desire it with your whole being.
I understand where you are coming from. I believe that your comment on the trolley problem, or the if it would overall increase the goodness of the world.
She does air quotes with all of the appendages that can do them.
I suppose that is a way of putting it, but I think that after watching someone I care about die more or less with nothing I could do, I just realized I need to learn more. I need to be better at what I do.
And what's that?
I see myself as a
She thinks for a few moments.
you could call it a sort of porcupine, with lack of a better term that springs. I hurt a lot of people very effectively, but there's an equivalent chance that I end up hurting myself, at least in combat. So I think that learning to take things a little bit slower would be good for me. I think that learning the way that you do it would be good for everyone's sake.
So the spider wants a little bit of venom, does she?
You could say that.
And a protector wants to learn from one such as I, who is most affiliated with exactly the opposite. That's kind of poetic, I suppose.
Learning to kill the executioner before they get up to the block can save the life of the person who is meant to die, yes?
Well, I still say there's a very large difference between poisoning someone's tea and becoming that poison yourself. You're certain you're resolved to do this?
What if I wasn't? Insofar as, what if I learned as much as I can learn and then decide to go our separate ways,
I suppose there wouldn't be anything inherently wrong with that, but at the same time, I'm waiting for the part where you tell me what's in it for me. If this is going to be a temporary arrangement where you simply learn from me and then apply that however it is you will, rather than, oh, I don't know, becoming the next glass rose or something to that effect, then I'm going to want some considerable compensation, and I don't just mean money, I mean...
Monetary, yes. You mean
I mean a
spiritually.
deeper... Yes, exactly. I need a deeper reason behind why I do things, or I'll simply grow so bored that I'll wither away like an unwatered flower.
How poetic indeed.
She, one of the appendages gestures to the tea as though, there's some water, don't worry.
I think that I can offer you something in return, then. I presume that your organization would enjoy someone closer to the inside of the old TV show.
Oh, destruction bench agreement, you mean?
Mm-hmm.
My
I think that
organization. I'm afraid you'll need to narrow it down somewhat. She looks to the side slightly.
I was originally thinking that I could give information on what is planned if so desired, give goings-on and updates of the like and such, which I believe to be a fair exchange were they to get on my case about it for the safety of the people within.
She tilts her head back and forth a couple of times. A mole on the inside. My question to that would be that since when does your organization... Now, maybe this is a little presumptuous of me, but I sort of get the impression, an outsider looking in, that your organization doesn't really plan much in advance. It doesn't seem like there doesn't seem to be much of a strict hierarchy of leadership and bureaucracy going on over there.
It is a little bit loose, but there are some people planning on gathering up a couple of contestants and, well, pointing at something that needs to be crushed and crushing it. And I believe that pointing out when that will happen may be advantageous for you.
I don't know. I don't think it's really something I'm interested in.
Okay.
Maybe... I could maybe name one or two individuals who are more interested in information and spoilers on what you're all up to and things of that nature, but as for me, that's not nearly enough of a personal need for myself that I'm going to take a bite out of that particular bait, no.
Rajavia thinks a little bit. She seems to be mulling over the concept that this group, whatever Sicily is a part of, is not monolithic. And this needs to be interesting to her specifically. She thinks for a little bit longer, seemingly more on a series of words than one could convince her.
In that case, maybe something a bit more efficient and effective when it comes to your time. How about Jaina, the person who owns this little corner of the world, has recently come into trouble with Miss Ambrosia, the butterfly wings and such, something of the sort?
Oh yes, I believe I may have heard her name somewhere.
Well, perhaps as a little gift to her or what have you, we could, or at least I could, situate something along those lines. And, the glass rose can upend a thorn in the garden. For her sake, if not someone else's.
By situating something, what exactly do you have in mind?
Information. killing them if necessary. They are a traditionally bad person, so they're on my radar.
Traditionally bad.
That is, boiling my thoughts down to its barest essentials, but if you desire me to extrapolate further.
I suppose I wouldn't necessarily mind a bit of a collaboration to that effect. I suppose it would function as a good first outing for you. Make sure that you have a baseline level of competence at a few things, which I'm certain you do. But, I'm afraid that a little assistance on a job or something of that sort still isn't quite the type of thing I'm trying to hit on here.
Is it loyalty? Do you need me to cut off one of my arms?
Excuse me?
It's fine if not, that's just something I would offer.
All of her eyes blink in sequence.
No, cutting off one of your arms is not the type of thing I'm talking about, sweetheart.
Okay, continue.
Again, I need some kind of something. I need to see something in you. I need to have some kind of assurance that once you're in, you're going to be in for the long haul one way or another. I need to know why you want to do this. I need to know that you can do this, that this is actually something you want and not simply a curiosity. You've killed people before, then? For those good reasons we were mentioning.
A couple of times.
She stares up at the ceiling a bit, calculating silently. Would you be willing to kill me?
The words, they do not shock Rajavia, but she mulls them over for a few seconds.
I would, yes. I could do that.
Could you really?
I will kill many people for the right reasons. And if you desire that as a proof of loyalty, then I suppose I can partake,
Less loyalty and more something else.
Intrigue?
Let's see how you kill without a given reason. She turns away from Rosavia and moves to sit down on this couch.
Do you have any preferences, or is this a sort of test of my mettle?
My preferences aren't what's being observed here.
Very well. Understood.
After taking a couple of seconds to think, Rajavia takes the scrap nest that she has been sleeping in for the past few days and reconstitutes it into a massive cleaver-like construct. She takes the time to assure that it is sharp as she can get it, and that, providing Sicily does not intrude, it will kill. It is a fair distance larger than her, such that she needs to use every appendage at her disposal. The 2 proper arms, 2 spidery arms, 2 mechanical to wield it. However, she knows there's some variety of catch to this, but after a few moments, she would walk over and slice Sicily and the couch in half.
Just like that, with the splitting of bone and the destruction and obliteration of skin and soft tissue, blood splattering over her weapon, her limbs, her face. She does so.
Shall I?
Yes, please.
Shit.
In a burst like emerging from a hole in nothing, the crown emerges from the air, blue electricity hissing and sizzling around itself as it moves over top of Sicily's freshly made corpse. Its single red eye, or whatever it might be, stares at Rosavia.
He stares back.
Neither say anything, as, similar to what has been seen once before, a reconstruction begins, not just of Sicily's body, not in the mechanical, physical way that the word is typically used, but a reconstruction of events, of time, perhaps, but even more fundamental than that, it feels as though Rosavia watches as a Sicily that is exactly the same, yet with the only notable difference being that she is still here, where she's meant to be, where she's supposed to be. As though Rosavia's own memory, her own choice in the matter, is left as merely a footnote. Energy cascades out from the crown, its spikes spinning around itself as it maintains the staring contest with the spider for the long several moments that it requires. Before, though the blood is still present on Rosavia's weapon and on her face, everywhere else has been altered back to its original state. And as Sicily begins to stir once again, the crown would not disappear right away, but just move back somewhat. Sicily blinks a couple of times before she, too, stands up and moves around the couch to face Rosavia more properly.
She has not stopped staring at the crown.
Sicily beckons and the crown moves over to herself. I can't actually control it, but... Let this serve as your first lesson, dear. There are some things that you cannot change, no matter how strong, powerful, determined you might be. Even mastery over fate does not mean that you are free from it. I knew that I would die again today, but at the same time, it could never have been avoided. The best you can do is to have it happen on your own terms, to control the context rather than the events. Whether you're in my line of work or any other in life, you need to reach out and grasp your desires with your own strength in your own hands, whether you have a convenient little magic crown or not. True control comes from accepting that you have none. Besides the occasional little peek, I've chosen to remain ignorant of what the future holds. If choice is just an illusion, then I abstain from the dichotomy altogether. I can still enjoy the dance if I don't know all the steps. She moves around behind Brazavia to her other side, looking at her all the while.
Her eyes finally follow Sicily instead of the crown.
And perhaps you, too, already knew what would happen here today. Knew that my death wouldn't stick. You may have even seen it happen on your show once before. Or maybe you didn't, choosing to trust in yourself and the universe to see you through. Taking things on faith, so to speak. Either way, it doesn't really matter. The point is that whether you're a manipulator or an improviser, whether you're lying to me about your true motivations and your resolve and all of this, or whether you're earnestly trying to seek something that the world can't give you, no information or tutelage that I can give, or even a crown for yourself, are going to help you. The only path that is ever open to you is your own. To change the world, you have to impose your will upon it, force it to conform to your desires, to paint your picture. I can't tell you what the future holds, but I think at the very least you should understand the forces that you're messing with here. And I don't just mean something as vapid and toothless as fate. You will be holding life and death in your hands. Is that really what you want?
He blinks a few times as though to insinuate permission to speak. And then, providing Sicily doesn't say anything to the contrary, still holding the cleaver, noticeably covered in blood, she thinks.
I hoped that my actions today would prove that that is something that I want. But if you desire explicit comment, yes. I am willing, be it to have it once I have learned the consequences of it, or to obtain it and try my hardest to get a measure of it swiftly.
What you're willing to do isn't the only thing that interests me. The men who control this world will all claim that a person is defined by what they're willing to do, but call me optimistic, or perhaps naive, but I think that the real measure of a person comes from what they do when they have the freedom and the agency and the willingness to do so. We'll be in touch, and we'll see what comes of that from you, but I would give it some long and hard thought, because, frankly, why is it you're doing anything if it's not to find out more about yourself? To discover what it is that drives you so. Pick it apart, piece by piece. Whether you like it or not, when you're in my line of work, you'll be doing that. Your work will come to fruition. So think about what kind of canvas and picture you'd like to impose upon it.
It is with all due respect I comment. If there is one thing I knew before I spoke to you, it is that my actions will eventually have meaning. We shall be in touch, indeed.
Like I said, dear, I can't tell you what the future holds, and I can't promise you a crown. And it's not as simple as taking one for yourself, either. But I hope that the two of us working together, as well as the many other little endeavors I have set in motion. The thing is, a storm can look plenty menacing from below, and you can see the effects that it wreaks around itself, but I think they look most beautiful from within the eye. The closer we move to that eye, and the more threads we set in motion, the more we can see the full picture that we're creating. Does that make sense, or am I being overly vague again? I've been told that that's a problem with me.
I believe I understand. But suppose I'm not certain.
That's good. You were saying?
Do you believe that if all other options are closed to you, that only leaves one?
That's exactly what I'm trying to find out.
I have closed off the options for myself when it comes to ending up useless, ending up cast aside. I hope that you will see this in time. If there is only one option for me, in my mind, then I am curious to see how it will interact with the world at large. If there is no option in my mind for not obtaining a crown eventually, then perhaps that will be the one that I live in, and perhaps not.
She shrugs rather casually as she turns and takes a seat back at the table with her tea, the crown at this point having vanished. What choices we have and what choices we make are... There's a lot of overlap, but they're sometimes different as well, and I want to find out what bearing exactly our choices have on the world around us. Whether we can make any at all, whether there's only ever one, or maybe if things aren't as set in stone as many would like us to believe. All I'm asking you is to keep an open mind.
Understood.
I believe and trust that you are determined. And I think that, as you said, what is certain, most definitely, is that determination will bring something to fruition. But what it is, well, that's for us to find out, right? Knowing the future would only sour the tea.
She discards the large weapon, placing it up against the table. And in as menacing of a way as you can, drinks up her macchiato, coffee, something similar.
If you'd like me to, I can ask Miss Vanderbilt about making this a more permanent residence for you, if you don't have one of your own. as in one
of
that's
my own.
nearby here. You know what you understand.
I can make one myself. What is comfortable for me is not comfortable for most people.
Her smile comes back for a second, but it fades pretty quick.
I couldn't agree more on that front. Will that be all for today, Rosavia?
I believe so.
We'll be in touch.
Indeed.
Thank you for humoring my requests and needling questions.
In pursuit of the one option I see, I believe that to be the way to bring it to fruition. Good words for it.
Can you picture it in your mind's eye? The kind of finished piece you're looking to produce? What's going to come of your one option?
She thinks for a while.
No.
That has a beauty all its own. You're excused for now. But we'll begin our work shortly. What'd you say, Mars?
She half, like, she questioned, I'm excused? Because she's the one who was here in the first place. But what she says goes.
She looks to have made herself quite comfortable at this table for the moment.
Understand that is not my best work. Bit strung together, as it tends to be.
The weapon in question is partially falling to pieces. It's difficult to tell if that is a property of all of Rajavia's constructs or what have you.
Don't pursue perfection, pursue beauty. Just a little saying I say sometimes.
If you're looking at my weapon, I can promise you that all of them are beautiful in some extent. At least to me. And isn't that, what you're searching for?
I look forward to seeing them in action.
It is one of the few things I take pride in.
She exits at that.
Sicily sips her tea again.
That's all for me.
Woo, yeah.
Yeah, there we are. Situated.
I am glad we actually made it through that time. First part was scuffed, but you know, hey. Pursue perfection, not beauty. Or sorry, beauty, not perfection. Fuck! We have to redo it now, sorry.
Shit, god damn it. That's me though.
Yep, why don't you do a little outro for us and then we'll be good.
I'll think about that the moment that this train passes.
Oh, okay.
And I won't turn on any music.
I apologize for getting frustrated. It's so funny how, like, literally during the time where it's like, let's see if your internet stabilizes. Peaceful, serene, just
like
nothing.
This.
Yeah, exactly. That's how it felt. And then all the fucking, like, motorcyclists and jeeps outside my house were like, the stream's back on!
Yeah, yeah man.
Fucking hilarious,
Anyway.
Dude.
Hey, everyone.
Oh, gosh.
If you enjoyed the second part of what you saw here, and you want to know when, where, how, or why, you can see how fruitionful this little conversation ends up being or otherwise, I personally would recommend waiting 3 days and then joining our Discord server, Fine Dining. Have fun with that.
That's the thing that's always confused me, right? Like, was it on the third day or after the third day that Jesus rose again and joined Fine Dining, our Discord server?
That is explicitly mentioned in the Bible. He does that. Don't read it, please. It's in mine. It's in my fan fiction. With that being said, thank you all for watching. We cannot do it in the way that we do it without all of you being at least a little bit interested. And we also can't do it if you have problems with the technical difficulties. So if you do, let us know so we can stop it. Join Fine Dining so you can let us know to stop. With this being said...
Please let it end. Make us stop. Alright.
With this being said, thank you all very much for watching, and we hope to see you again sooner or later. Say goodbye to stream, the two of us, to which I respond, get out of here!
Bye, stream. Till next time.